So today I'm back here in the V8 Speed and Resto shop, Fab Shop, where I'm literally surrounded by Camaros that are going through the metalwork process. But in front of me is a really cool project that just came in. This is a 1938 Chevy pickup truck, kind of a rat rod, kind of a bobber, and the owner brought us the cab and the chassis, and it had already had some metal work done. It was cut. But what I like about this project is it's got a great chassis to start with, and he's calling upon us to help connect a lot of the dots and finish it off. So a lot of times you see these type of vehicles where they look like they got dragged out of a scrap pile and they're not safe going down the road. And that is not the case with this one. And that's really one of the reasons why we wanted to take this project on. All these parts are new up front. It's got a new chassis. It's a rectangular steel tube chassis. It's got a new dropped axle and hairpin suspension and disc brakes. So it's going to be safe and reliable and go straight and stop, which is very important. However, you'll notice the grill shell is an original piece. It's beautiful rust and patina, you know, and the headlights have that vintage look. So all this stuff is going to blend nicely with this chassis. It's powered by a small block Chevy, and I love the fact that, you know, you got zoomie drag race style pipes on it. These are not the valve covers that are going to run on it. We're going to do some work to help vintageify this engine, and you can see we've got a flat firewall starting here. We're probably going to do some metal artwork in that firewall to make it match the rest of it. But as far as the chassis is concerned, this is a great truck to start with. You'll notice that this thing's already been chopped. When this arrived, the top chop was already performed, but it was just kind of tacked in place. And you know, these type of rat rods are a challenge because for us, we want to make sure that we do high quality work, but you still want to keep that kind of rough and ratty look. So you look at the welds on this one, we went over the welds that were done to this when it arrived and kind of mimicked almost a rivet style with the X's. So this is still MIG welded, but we did metal finish kind of what was there and did this stuff to add an additional artistic step to it. When this is finished, the owner's debating whether or not he wants to paint the whole thing or leave it in this kind of rough patina. I think it's pretty cool either way. But the main thing is that this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of creative freedom to be able to do this. And although this isn't the typical, highly polished, surgical type of metalwork we normally like to do, rest assured, the chassis is going to be fully dialed in and safe. Too many times you see rat rods like this where the crappy welding on the top chop is also found on an original frame, and that's just not safe and not cool. This one's got great bones, but still that cool artistic look. And when you look inside, you'll find this tube chassis here with the floor reinforcements and the body mounts and the cab mounts and this rattling piece of steel up here. We're just kind of fitting all the seats and the floor mounts. You got some headroom.
Yeah, I got about 4 inches.
Earlier, we had the owner come in and actually sit in the chair to feel how much the top chop affected it and to determine where the seat was going to be mounted in the cab. These seats are a high back modern sports seat. I don't know if they're going to stay. This is what he's going to start with, but we make him comfortable in this. We can make him comfortable in anything. The dashboard has some cool old vintage stuff. I don't know if we're going to get those to work or change them out, but we still have to figure out how we're going to run our steering column, our brake master cylinder and booster, because they're probably going to be tucked up under here, but we'll figure all that stuff out as we go. But it's neat to see the quality metal work underneath coupled with the vintage ratty stuff on top. Performing a top chop can be a real challenge, especially on a cab that's got a lot of curves or a car that's got a sloped roof. And there's a great resource that we use. This just came out. This is a book called How to Chop Tops, and it's actually written by a good friend of mine, Mr. Tony Thacker. And in fact, if you look at our Bonneville Up to Speed podcast, you'll find an interview that I did with Tony. So he put this book together, and what I like about it is it's not just a guide on how to do it. There's specific examples of various top chops, starting with a whole history of how this whole thing got even started. Like, who was the first person to chop a top and why? That's all in here. But then the example cars that they feature, I happen to know a lot of these people too. So this is a great resource if you're thinking about doing this kind of work, because there's a lot of math that goes into making these cuts. And anyway, this is a great resource to help you out. So one of the most important things you need to hit when building a hot rod is the stance, right? And as we see this, the cab is mounted to the body, but the bed is not yet finalized. It's just kind of set in place. But one of our goals was to align this top rail of the bed with the body lines on the cab so that the whole thing has the same attitude. Earlier we spoke with the owner and kind of talked about what we want to do with this. This bed is actually going to get lowered a little bit more so that the top rail lines up with the lower body line on the side of the cab. But the bed was actually made to, you know, hide the rear suspension and also hide the fuel cell that's tucked back there. It's also significantly narrowed because of the giant Mickey Thompson tires we have back here too. So the big and little look and the stance make this whole hot rod appearance come together. We're enjoying having some fun with this one. If you've got an old hot rod you want put back together, if you need a chassis done or a custom, or of course muscle cars, you know, we're all over them, you can find us anytime at v8speedshop.com, and we're happy to chat with you about making your ideal hot rod vision come to life.